Hello, today I am talking all about eating to heal eczema. Can we get eczema relief from a clean food nutrition plan? We're going to talk all about what a clean food nutrition plan is, what foods should you eat, what foods should you maybe avoid, what nutrients are important to make sure you're getting into your diet, what nutrients do you maybe need to supplement for if you're not getting them in your diet. How do you test for these nutrients? This is everything we are going to cover today. So welcome. And I really think this is a very important conversation because food is something we put into our mouths at least 3 to 5 times per day, if not more. And we aren't taught about what we should be eating, what we shouldn't be eating, how much this plays a role in our inflammatory processes that really trigger the symptoms of eczema. So our agenda today, this is a 30-minute lunch and learn live. We are going from 12 to 12:15 to talk about what is the clean food nutrition plan and how can it provide eczema relief. And then from 12:15 to 12:30, you can ask me anything. I'm going to open it up to questions. So please go ahead. As we are going through today's topic, please go ahead and type into the comments box, ask me your questions, and wait till the end because I will answer them at the end. I'd like to just kind of talk about this first, and then we'll answer those questions. So what is inflammation and how does it relate to eczema? Well, when you are scratching that skin and when you are super itchy, inflamed, and red, it is because your immune system is activating. And your immune system is triggering things like cytokines, like there are specific cytokines like interleukins, interleukin 4, interleukin 13, that are actually causing this itchiness and this inflammation that you are then feeling at your skin. So what are we really dealing with? We're dealing with inflammation, but we're really just seeing it as our eczema. That's all we're seeing it as. And so inflammation is so important when we're thinking about our nutrition, because in terms of nutrition, there's a lot that we can do to cause inflammation. And then there's actually a lot we can do to lower inflammation. And so this is such an important topic. And it's really one of the first places to start when we're thinking about how can we really get that inflammation down, get that itch down, because it's something we are doing so many times a day. So I want to give you guys some education about this today. The Clean Food Nutrition Plan is for eczema, is about lowering inflammation to ease those symptoms. And sometimes we need to do a specialized nutrition plan in the very beginning, and then hopefully we can kind of expand that nutrition plan out. I don't really like to think of a nutrition plan as a diet, but more so as a tool that we're using while we're healing you. And then afterwards, really something that we can maintain for the rest of our lives, because it's really not something that I just want you to make some changes now and then you just forget about those. Healing eczema is a lifetime thing that we really need to start to create a different relationship with our food in order to heal our eczema. And hopefully that relationship continues after our eczema is healed. And yes, it is possible to completely heal eczema. I am sitting before you completely healed of eczema. I was born with severe eczema, so I am, first of all, a testament to that. And then all of my patients, and you can see that if you look on my YouTube, on my socials, all of the progress people make by getting to the root cause. Nutrition is one of those pillars. I like to call it our clean food pillar. And first of all, we have a clean food plate that we really like to focus on. And on that plate, we like to have whole foods only if possible. That means we don't have packaged foods or processed foods. The processing of foods is an extremely toxic process that can put toxins in our food that we don't need. So a lot of the processing can occur on machinery that's made of plastic and other heavy metals. And these things are leaching into our food. So that's the first thing. The second thing is it's not whole food. So we're not actually getting as many nutrients as we possibly can when we're doing processed or packaged foods. When we get those whole foods, we know that this is made from nature, and those whole foods are full of vibrant colors and antioxidants and vitamins and minerals. Those are the things that we need to lower inflammation and to heal. So eating whole foods is number one. Number two, we have to eat foods that are anti-inflammatory. One of the key types of foods that's anti-inflammatory that I think people are missing a lot of the times are omega-3s. And we're going to dive into omega-3s a little bit later today, but omega-3s are found in fatty fish, chia seeds, walnuts, hemp seeds, and these can help to lower inflammation. We're also going to go over a couple of other anti-inflammatory foods that you can eat as well. Eliminating inflammatory foods. And now I see a couple of inflammatory foods in 99.99% of my patients when I do test them for foods that are actually triggering low levels of inflammation. This is called food sensitivity. Food sensitivity is not the same as a food allergy. A food sensitivity can be a low level reaction. You could eat a food today and you potentially don't have a reaction until 3 days later. The other problem is that sometimes that reaction is really, really small, so you don't really notice it. You can eat something today and then again, 3 days later, you have a little bit of a reaction. But if you keep eating that food, that's how we get chronic inflammation. Eczema is really chronic inflammation that's in our body, and therefore these foods can cause that low level inflammation that leads to the symptoms of our eczema. The highest on my list are foods like gluten, dairy, and those two foods I do find high IgGs, which is that immunoglobulin that tells us there might be a food sensitivity. And again, 99.99% of my eczema patients, I often see gluten and dairy. So I usually do ask people to take these foods out, even if we don't test, just to test it out and see. And then sometimes people who with severe conditions might need to take out more foods. We can test for this. We can also just take out all of those allergenic foods like eggs and nuts and soy, but testing might be important there. Then sugar. Sugar is really toxic for everybody. So this is not just for eczema people, but refined sugars are things that you want to take out in general. Those refined sugars feed the inflammation in the gut by feeding the microbiome in a way that we don't want the microbiome to be fed. This can lead to a dysbiosis, and that can trigger eczema. It can trigger inflammation. It can trigger leaky gut. The refined sugar can also really put a damper on your immune function. And so sugar is toxic, and I would say keep it out as well. Toxic foods will include things like your pesticide-ridden foods, so you want to make sure to eat organic and non-GMO. And there's a lot of other things to think about in terms of toxicity, and including, those processed foods and other additives, preservatives. So by sticking to a whole food diet, you're actually going to remove a lot of those toxins from your food. So if you just think, okay, what came out of the earth, what is whole, then that is what you want to focus on to avoid most of the toxicities, okay? All right, so what is a clean food plate? Well, as you can see here, we like half of your plate to be colorful vegetables, non-starchy carbs. Your vegetables are a type of carbohydrate. They're high in those good fibers that we really need to create the good bowel movements, to give you all the antioxidants and the nutrients to help you to lower that inflammation and to help your skin to heal, to give your skin that really good skin barrier. Next, we want to see your plate 30% full of protein, and that includes animal proteins or vegetable proteins. And protein is extremely important. Those are the building blocks of your proteins in your body. That is also how your body's going to heal, with some really good proteins. The next thing is fat. And here you have some decisions to make. You can go between 10 and 30% of fat. Or you can also decide to, instead of doing that much fat, you can add some starchy carbs. And that would be up to you. And sometimes we kind of modulate this based on what's going on with a patient. If they're having a lot of gut dysbiosis, maybe we might go with less starchy carbs. If they're having a lot of constipation, maybe we want more of those starchy carbs to get a little bit more fiber in the diet. So this is where working with a practitioner can really help, because they can kind of help decide on your plate if there's any changes that need to be made here. Those fats are so important. As I mentioned, omega-3s, we're going to dive into them in a minute, but omega-3s are your fatty acids that are really important for lowering inflammation, and those fats are also important for creating a very strong skin barrier. So making sure you have good fat on the plate, things like olive oil, avocados, fish, algae oils are really great, nuts and seeds, etc. And then your starchy carbs, we do want to make sure to focus on those really high fiber brown rice. We have sweet potatoes. We have, quinoa and amaranth. Those are all really great choices. So the clean food plate is so important. When you look down at your plate, we want to see a very colorful rainbow. So I also like to call these rainbow plates as well too. If you ever see me posting on Instagram my food plates, you'll see that I always have half of my plate filled with vegetables. Okay. All right. So what are the key nutrients for lowering inflammation and supporting skin health? Well, number one are those omega-3 fatty acids. And the ones I'm really mentioning here are the ones that I really find are low in a lot of foods. In a lot of my patients, that they're just not eating these foods. Okay. So, and these are the ones I'm kind of focusing on. Or if I'm testing my eczema patients, I find that when I do test my patients for these nutrients, they're typically low when they have eczema. So first things first, let's get this in our diet. But the second thing to kind of focus on is, are you actually absorbing this food? So, we like to say you are what you eat, but to make it even more specific, you are what you absorb. So even if you eat the food, you may not be absorbing the food. And that's where we really need to think about getting more to the root cause, because if you are eating a lot of omega-3s and we actually don't see that your omega-3 levels are high, we might say, okay, maybe you're not digesting your fats well. Then we need to think about why you're not digesting your fats. So omega-3s are one of the most powerful anti-inflammatory nutrients that you should really be making sure you get in your diet at least 2 to 3 times per week, if not daily. If you're choosing an animal source, you want to go with fatty fish that's wild caught. If you're doing things like salmon, you can do sardines or mackerel, but you have to make sure you are not eating fatty fish that's high in mercury. That would be foods like tuna or swordfish. Those are high mercury fish. So you want to make sure that you go to EWG Seafood Calculator. You can input your information and it'll spit out a really beautiful plan as to which foods are going to be best for you. Those are the foods that are low mercury and high omega-3. And you'll see salmon, sardines, mackerel. Those are all on that list. In order to get this from food only, you do need to eat at least 2 to 3 servings of that fatty fish per week if you're only doing those animal sources, okay? If you do plant sources, then what you're actually getting instead of that direct DHA and EPA is you're getting alpha linoleic acid, which then converts to DHA and EPA in the body. So you will have to do a little bit more of this because you're not going to get a full conversion here, but you'll want to do things like flax seeds, chia seeds, and hemp seeds. 2 tablespoons per day should help to increase those omega-3 levels. You can do walnuts, a handful daily. Now, of course, if you are with eczema, you want to make sure that you're allowed to have seeds and nuts. Sometimes those can be inflammatory for some eczema people. So if you need to supplement, because you look at this and you're saying, I can't eat fish, or I don't like to eat fish, and I can't have seeds and I can't have nuts, you may want to supplement. There are 2 ways to supplement. You can do fish oil, or you can do algae oil if you can't have fish or if you are vegetarian or vegan. And you do want to consider bumping up those doses if you do have eczema. Of course, you do want to ask your doctor before taking any supplements, but typically a higher level is good for someone with eczema. For an adult, anywhere from 1,000 to 3,000 milligrams of combined EPA and DHA daily. But you do want to make sure, again, you ask your doctor about this. The higher your symptoms of eczema, the more omega-3 you may want to take. So you may want to go closer to that 3,000 mark if you really want to lower the inflammation. And this can really be as powerful as taking, anti-inflammatory medication. So it's a very powerful thing. Of course, getting it in your diet is step one. Okay. Vitamin D. Now, vitamin D is actually something we can get through food, but a lot of it does come through our sunlight exposure. But I do want you to know that with my eczema patients, vitamin D is something I often see very, very low. And the problem is that most of us are just behind our computers, behind our phones. We're not getting out there in the sun as much as we should. What we need to be aiming for in terms of sunlight exposure is 15 to 30 minutes per day of sun exposure. Face, arms, and legs all need to be exposed in order for us to get enough of that vitamin D that is created at our skin when we are exposed to the sunlight. And most of us are likely not getting this. And so, especially during the winter when we're definitely not going out, depending on where you live, if it's cold and maybe you don't have a lot of sunlight where you live, then you definitely want to think about supplementation or getting this from food sources. So fatty fish does have some vitamin D. You could do things like cod liver oil, which also has some vitamin D in there. Again, 2 to 3 servings per week. Egg yolks can have some vitamin D. And then they do fortify foods with vitamin D just because so many people are low. So that's another possibility, is getting fortified foods. If you are going to be supplementing, you want to do a vitamin D3, and you want to make sure that that's balanced with a K2, because the problem is vitamin D3 can actually pull calcium out of your bones, and then the K2 can help put it back in. So I have seen people who take vitamin D3 and they take it without the K2, and they end up with things like kidney stones because they're actually pulling out that calcium and it's getting stuck in the kidney. Okay. So make sure that you're taking a D3 with K2. It is important you get tested, and I would recommend before supplementing that you just get tested and see what those levels are. Then your practitioner can decide based on those levels how much you really need to be taking. 2,000 to 5,000 IUs is a very general dosage, but sometimes people need up to 10,000 IUs per day in order to really get those vitamin D levels up there. I like anywhere between 45 and 65 for vitamin D levels, but really you can go up to even 75. And having that extra vitamin D can be really helpful, especially during the winter, because we also know that vitamin D can help protect you against things like COVID and flu. It's really important for immune function, immune regulation. And that's why it's so important for our skin health, because with eczema, we're dealing with an immune dysregulation issue. And that's why we really need that vitamin D. Okay. So go out in the sun, get some of those food sources, and potentially supplement. And I do feel that a lot of people, unfortunately, do need to supplement just because of our lifestyles. Vitamin C, another one that we don't necessarily get if we're not eating certain foods. This is a very powerful antioxidant to protect and help repair the skin. So this can be really important for eczema people. We're getting this from citrus fruits, oranges and lemons, berries, strawberries, blueberries, bell peppers, leafy greens like spinach and kale. We want 1 to 2 servings per day at least. Again, some of these foods might be problematic for some eczema people, so we need to kind of pick and choose or decide, maybe to supplement is a possibility. I really like to start our day off with a clean body drink. My clean body drink does have half of a lemon in there, half of lemon juice. It's got apple cider vinegar. It's got flaxseed oil, which has our omega-3s. And then we have a liquid multivitamin called the Clean Body Complete, which we can put that in there too. So that's called my clean body drink. And that is, I like to start with that because that's got your vitamin C, it's got malic acid, it's got, everything you kind of need to just start your day. If you do need to supplement for vitamin C because you're not getting enough of this in your diet, maybe you can't have citrus, maybe you can't have berries, then there are a couple of ways that you can get your vitamin C. You could do a buffered C, you could do a liposomal C or an ester C. I like the buffered C. It's a little bit cheaper from those on the list. and it's buffered with a couple of minerals just to help so that it's a little easier to take in. And you could do up to 2,000 milligrams daily. Just so you know, the higher you do for vitamin C, sometimes you end up with a little bit of diarrhea. That's something to note. And you can kind of make your way down if you're getting diarrhea with too much vitamin C. Okay, so those are ways that you can supplement with vitamin C if you're wanting that lowering of inflammation, but you can't eat those vitamin C rich foods. Okay, so we do have a CleanSKIN Nutrition Kit. If you want to supplement to fill in the gaps, of course, first of all, I want you to get this in your diet. But if you can't get it in your diet, then you can supplement to fill in the gaps. There are ways to test all of these nutrients. For the omega-3s, you can ask your doctor to test this on your yearly labs. Quest, LabCorp, they all have omega tests. It's just that your doctor may not add this to your yearly exam. So just ask your doctor, say, hey, can you do an omega check for me? You can ask for vitamin D, although this is something that is now regularly being tested, I would say. And then, you can also ask for things like vitamin C, et cetera, from your doctor. But omega-3s and vitamin D are regular tests that you can ask for, although not all doctors would do. Okay. So that's how you can know if you need to be supplementing to fill in the gaps. Now, how to use eczema nutrition supplements safely. I really highly recommend you do work with a practitioner that can do some testing, that's familiar with these deficiencies, that can help you fix these in your diet first and foremost, and then give you supplements above and beyond that. To only rely on supplements is not the best choice. Of course, getting these in your diet is really best. And then in terms of the dosages that I have recommended here, you want to work with a practitioner before starting any supplements. Make sure that you are hitting, there are doses that will get you to that anti-inflammatory place, but you don't want to necessarily be doing that on your own. You want to make sure that you're working with a practitioner for those, okay? All right. Well, I would love to open it up to questions now. I want to go back because I know that there were a lot of questions that were asked. So I'm going to go back on the comments here. I'll go up to the top and see what I can answer here. So please go ahead and type into the comments, ask any and all questions that you want. But today we are talking about eczema relief with the Clean Food Plan. Please remember that all of this information is for educational purposes only. This is not medical advice. If you do want medical advice, then you can book a consultation with me and I can meet with you one-on-one to give you that advice. But today, if you want to kind of go through and check on this information for yourself, either ask your doctor or, consider working with me and my team. All right, now let's see. So let's go up to the top here. Anyway, to make the picture bigger, so I will be posting, I believe you were talking about my clean food plate. I will be posting that on Instagram later today, okay? Okay, and then let's see other questions here. What if you only have eczema on part of your body or hands? Okay, great question. Even if your eczema is only in one spot of your body, that still can mean that food is playing a role in this. It's weird how the body will choose different places to put the eczema. Now, could it be contact that you're washing your hands with something that's causing irritation in that area? It's possible that the barrier of the skin on your hands is weaker just because you're doing more with your hands and that barrier is getting more damaged. Therefore, more things are leaking into the skin on your hands to cause this. The other thing I have seen with hand eczema is I have seen there be a big stress response relation here. If somebody has a lot of stress or a lot of trauma, for some reason, their hands are really affected. So, it can, even though it's just on one part, you do want to think about a lot of different root cause issues. Everything from food to stress to even pathogens are things that you want to think about, okay? I drink a warm glass of water with 2 tablespoons of organic lemon juice instead of drinking coffee. I love this. I love this. The other thing I might add there, if you can tolerate it, is a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, a tablespoon of flaxseed oil. And if you wanted to pick up our Clean Body Complete Liquid, it's basically a multivitamin made of organic fruits and vegetables. You can put 2 tablespoons of complete liquid in there, and you would have made our clean body drink. And that's what I start my day every day with that. We ask everyone in our program to start our day with that, as long as they don't have any sensitivities or allergies to any of those ingredients. Okay. I had just healed from the eczema from both of my whole arms, but now I get spots on my legs and hands and arms too. Okay. So what you want to think about here is, you know, internally what's going on. Sometimes our eczema can move around. Okay. If it moves around, it still means that there is a root cause issue going on there. And sometimes it has nothing to do with our hands, our arms. It has nothing to do with that, but it has more to do with our internal environment, everything from our gut health to our microbiome, imbalances, to our toxic burden. So, we need to think about those things and really know that where the eczema is, it's really just an alarm system that there's something going on inside of our body. Okay. How about the eczema on the palm of the hands won't go away even with a topical steroid? Okay. When you have eczema that is not responding to conventional medications, you want to think about other root cause issues that the steroid won't touch. And that could be things like microbiome imbalances, yeast growing on the skin, bacteria growing on the skin. You might want to think about toxins in your body. You might want to think about microbiome imbalances in general. So definitely check out my free eczema assessment. Go to the link in my bio and click the assessment. And that will help you to start to get an idea of what those root cause issues might be for you, because the topical steroid is not addressing any of those. It's really just lowering the inflammation on the skin. Okay. If the eczema is due to stress or trauma, what do you recommend? We need to then work on that trauma. In my practice, I created a protocol called the Clean Mind Protocol. And this is where we really turn inward, where I ask you to turn inward. I lead you through guided meditation where we actually go through the traumas in your life. We help you to reprocess those. It's not really talk therapy. What it is I'm just supporting you in the journey of unraveling these traumas for yourself. And if you get triggered frequently, if you are walking through your life and getting triggered all the time, it's sometimes due to the traumas that you've experienced in your life. We need to reprocess those so that when those triggers happen, you don't get triggered. Because what happens when we have a stress process? When we have a stress process, our body basically shuts down all of the processes that are not important when we are in fight or flight mode. Fight or flight mode is like when you are running from a bear. You're in nature, you're running from a bear. Your body says, uh-oh, have to get out of here. Let me increase my heart rate. Let me increase my blood flow. And it basically shuts down things like making a baby, your hormones, or digesting your food, or detoxifying your toxins. All of those things get shut down. And then what happens there is that you end up getting inflammation in your body, which then potentially leads to the symptoms of eczema. Okay. All right. Hey, do you have any recommendations or links I can look up to help with Haley disease? I don't have anything off the top of my head. If you want to DM me, then I can maybe provide some support for you. Okay. All right. And any other questions or comments, please go ahead and type into the comments box now. Again, I'm happy to answer any and all questions about clean food nutrition and how that can provide eczema relief. So please go ahead and ask all the questions you would like. Just to let you know, we are actually going to have a clean food eczema challenge next week, starting on Monday and ending on Sunday. And I am going to challenge you to do a couple of things. So first of all, follow me on Instagram at drfong.nd. I want you to eat clean food all week. What does that mean? Only organic whole foods, no processed, no packaged foods. So yes, that means no protein bars, no cassava chips, all whole foods. Make your clean food plate. So that's 50% vegetables, 30% protein, 10 to 30% fats, and 20% starchy carbs. And then avoiding those main inflammatory foods, your gluten, your dairy, and your sugar. My hope for you is that if you have eczema and you do this with me all week, and I'm going to come with you guys, I'm going to go Monday to Sunday. And I do this in my life anyways, but I do sometimes have some packaged foods like, like a protein bar or something like that. So I'm going to come with you guys. By the end of the week, I am hoping you're actually going to see some changes to your skin. So do this with your children, do this with your family. And if you come with me and you post a photo or a video of at least one of your clean food meals per day on Instagram, um, and then you use the hashtag, then tag me. If you're private, make sure you just take a screenshot and message it to me. That will enter you into this challenge. And with this challenge, the winner will receive a CleanSKIN Nutrition Kit, which has all of those supplements we talked about today. That's $160. An eczema root cause consultation with me, the value is $257. And then our Eczema Relief Jumpstart Guide, which is a short book that will help you jumpstart the healing process of your eczema. So the total prize value is $463.99. I will be announcing the winner at the live that's on Wednesday, October 16th, so 2 weeks from now, okay? And if you guys are here and you had a moment, if you could just let me know what you like for the hashtag of the challenge, either Clean Food Eczema Challenge, Clean Food Challenge, Eat to Heal Eczema, or Clean Food for Eczema. Or if you have another idea, let me know, because we're going to use a hashtag for that challenge, okay? Other information, and if you guys have any questions, please keep typing in the comments box. But if you guys want to know what the root cause of your eczema is, definitely take my free eczema root cause assessment. The link is in my bio. Attend my free eczema relief workshop. It's on Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard. Link is also in my bio. But if you are ready to meet with me one-on-one and get an eczema assessment, you can get 30% off my consultation using the code IGDC30. We do have a money-back guarantee on that consultation as well. So, if you decide that you did the assessment and you don't feel like you've gotten all the information to understand the root cause of your eczema, just ask for your money back, and we're happy to give you your money back there. Okay. All right. Let's see. Other questions that are here. What about protein shakes and collagen powders? Yeah. Protein shakes and collagen powders can be very helpful. Protein shakes, especially if you're not getting enough of that protein in your diet. So we actually do have a protein at Clean Body. It's called Clean Body Protein. It's made from bone broth protein. And what I love about it is that's all that's in there. There's no other fillers, no flavors. My preference is that if you guys do a protein shake, you do something like that. Of course, things like whey protein are going to be from dairy, and that could be problematic for some eczema people. So I would stay away from whey protein. Even egg white proteins can be problematic too, just for some eczema people, because you might have a reaction to those proteins. Collagen powders are great, especially for helping to rebuild the skin barrier. So I like those, and those can be used with those protein powders. Okay. But remembering that, and I think you might be asking, like, in terms of whole foods, whether that still counts as not being a whole food. It doesn't actually count as being a whole food, because what we would prefer is you actually just get that protein from food, or you get that collagen from food, rather than taking it as a supplement. However, I would say those would probably be acceptable to do during the 1 week challenge. But if you really wanted to do it all the way through, and of course, this is for you, so I'm not going to be checking in with those things, but that you're actually eating whole food, that you're actually getting all of your protein from whole food would be the challenge. Okay. All right, perfect. Any other questions or comments, please go ahead and type into the comments box. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining me this week. I am doing these every Wednesday at 12 p.m. If you have any recommendations for topics for me to cover, then DM me and let me know. All this month, it is Eczema Awareness Month, so I am going to be doing a lot more education just because it's Eczema Awareness Month. However, I always do these, and I am considering turning this into a podcast. So if I do, just make sure to look out for that, and then you can follow the podcast if you prefer to listen to this, okay?